Welcome back to episode 14 of Shack Out Back. It's me, Jim, and the other one is...
Danny Markle. I shouldn't say my last name. Bleep my last name.
No, I haven't done it before. I haven't done it since, so we're not doing it now. And the other one, we got a guest. We got a guest in the fucking shack. Some kind of, rodent who has crawled into their floorboards. Who is it?
Hello, it's me, Brandon, from the Joe Rogan Experience. Thank you guys for having me on. This is a great honor to be on your podcast. Thank you so much.
He could sue us for that. He could come after us and all we're worth.
Well, you can do it. Just bleep it out. Just say the Joe bleep.
Joe podcast.
Yeah, the Joe podcast.
Joe Swanson podcast.
Does Joe Rogan fight people? Is Joe Rogan one of the people
who
fights guys?
I don't
used to.
Think so. Joe Rogan used to fight people?
Yeah, he was in the UFC. Yeah.
I don't know what I thought Joe Rogan does. Was he a Navy SEAL?
He was the host of Fear Factor or something.
That's right. Yeah, he was.
What?
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah.
Okay.
Your topic this week was Joe Rogan, right, Brandon?
Oh my God, we're off topic already. So this week we picked difficulty. Brandon picked difficulty in video games.
That's right.
We're gonna talk about that. But as always, we're gonna start with the bi-weekly breakdown. And who do I want to go first? I think I want Mr. Markle to go first.
That's right.
Really?
Meghan Markle. Yeah.
Mr. Meghan Markle.
Let me look. I've officially graduated now, so I'm a college graduate. I can get the big jobs.
Congratulations,
big
man.
Money.
He's gonna spend his time working at McDonald's and really enjoying that grease shoveling.
Other than that, I've been working a shit ton, but I've been playing. What have I been playing and watching? I've been watching a lot of anime this season. I'm following a ton of different stuff.
Like what? Give me some examples. Give me some examples,
Dan.
Give me some
examples. Okay, right now I'm following 86. I'm following Odd Taxi, which is very, very cool. I
think you talked to me about Odd Taxi. It seems cool.
You'd like Odd Taxi. I hope it's getting the following it deserves, and I think it is, because it's being known to be very weird. Started Eurocamp Season 2 again. That's just a good
Oh shit, how's Eurocamp Season 2?
Yeah, what do you mean? Did you watch the first one?
No, but you talked about it a lot in the podcast.
Yeah, true. It's good. It's just a very wholesome, laid-back show. It's just about some girls that go camping. It's very nice.
Laid-back camp.
Yeah, literally.
Nice.
What else? I just finished In Other Waters today, and I got the Duke Nukem World Tour and the Blood Fresh Supply.
You got the cursed Bobandy version of Duke Nukem.
Yeah, but I finished, that game called In Other Waters, and that is a very odd game.
And you did. What else did you do, Dan? It starts with Dread and ends with X.
Dreadnought, Dread X. I finished Dread X The Hunt, right?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, that was very, very good. You haven't played it yet, but
No.
I've only played the first one and then that one, but I bought that one on release day because they're insanely cheap. They're only $11 or whatever when they get released.
I haven't finished the third one yet, and I really need to. I think I have 4 or 5 games left. It was one of those things where I played it a lot for 3 days, and it just
yeah, I can feel that. I beat it in 2 sittings. But yeah, Dread X The Hunt was really good. There was one game that I didn't finish because I didn't like the art style at all, and I found it way too ambiguous, which was Rose Meat or something. It's the thing. It's the thing everyone talks about in that collection being just bizarre. I couldn't follow anything that was happening, and it was making me fucking sick to my stomach.
We should get the second one and play Squirrel Stapler together, Dan.
Squirrel Stapler. And then there's another one that I finished, but it was wasn't bad by any means, but it was just so bog standard. It had some cool ideas, but it was the sound design was just fucking screaming. Everything was just ultra loud comparatively to everything else, so I really didn't like it. It was really good though. There was some games that I would pay full price for to see bigger experiences.
Yeah, they have really cool stuff. I think one of my favorites I haven't talked about yet on the show in Dread X3 was one guy made a Blue's Clues parody horror game that was 2.5D, and it was very fun.
What about you, brother? What you been up to? Or do we
we're doing Brand next.
Yeah.
Oh, we're doing
Brand next. Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of games, I've been playing Age of Empires 2 a Definitive Edition, which has actually been seeing a big resurgence recently, surprisingly. That one's pretty fun.
Brandon started playing it.
Yeah, I can't really get past the moderate difficulty on the on the computer players, and that's pretty much all I do. But yeah, definitely not even gonna try the multiplayer. That has a lot of people who, the StarCraft kind of players who are doing 75 actions per minute and just making me look like an absolute fool of myself. So I've decided just to play the computer players. I've been playing Dark Souls 3, which we're going to be talking about a little bit on this podcast.
Yeah.
and of course Deep Rock Galactic, which I don't think there's been a podcast that we haven't mentioned that game actually, or you guys haven't mentioned that game.
I think I put 40 hours in the last 3 weeks. I put a lot of hours in.
It's a good game. It's a good game.
Can I say one more thing? I finished Boneworks. That was.
Oh yeah.
You finished Boneworks?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I didn't really do the side shit, but yeah.
You didn't lose the inner contents of your stomach the whole time?
No, I actually do well with that type of stuff. But I just wanted to say it's okay. It's not very good, I think, compared to like nowadays VR games, because it is a little bit older. It's
2 or 3 years, right?
It's a very cool tech demo, but like it's a functioning game. There was like 50% of the time I was just annoyed like to hell at it. I don't need functioning arms and shit in VR that collide with everything and get stuck on everything.
But it's immersive, Dan.
Yeah, no.
What else have you been doing, Brandon?
I've been playing Deep Rock and playing a little bit more Stardew Valley again. Been getting back into that. Just trying to 100% the game because the new update came out, and then I kind of stopped for a bit after playing it for like a week. And that's been fun. Still love that game. I recommend that to everyone, and much love to Eric Barone for making that game. Absolutely fantastic work. In terms of shows, I've been watching Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the 3D animated show.
Now, do you have like... I think we talked about this in the podcast before, but do you have like a list of like episodes you need to watch in whatever order?
So
I think that's very stupid.
Yeah, there's a link on the Star Wars website, and it's like, this is how you should watch Clone Wars if you want to see it in chronological order, and it's like, start with Season 3, Episode 1, then go to Season 2, Episode 5, and then go back to Season 1, and then watch the movie, and then go back to Season 2, Episode 3. And
that's annoying.
It gets much better like as the show progresses, but the first few seasons are just like a complete jumbly mess of like what is chronological and what's not. I mean, if I were to rewatch the show, I would definitely just want Season 1 to 7, like no changed order or anything like that.
Yeah, I can see that.
And and I've been rewatching Futurama. That's been really fun. Really. I mean, that's a classic, of course. Everyone loves that show, but...
Going back to the old days of Reddit when every other post was a fucking Futurama joke.
Yeah, a Futurama meme of some kind, like, shut up and take my money. You guys remember that? That one's
classic.
evergreen.
Yeah. I've been seeing that lately again.
That's a fresh meme right there.
So I have, if you're finished, Brandon, I have 3 that I wanted to talk about. I watched the Netflix Godzilla anime movies, and they were all very bad.
That's what you watched. I was trying to remember, because I saw Pacific Rim Black, which is the new Netflix anime thing for Pacific Rim, and I was like, Jim said something about a big movie, but I don't think it was that. Yeah, that's what it was.
I rewatched the one me and you saw in the theater, the King of Monsters, where those 2 people were hacking and coughing in the background. I rewatched that on Netflix. And I wanted to watch Kong, but to rent Kong in Canada, it's like $30 or some god-awful thing.
The new one?
I was like, so I was like,
okay.
Oh, let me watch something else Godzilla related, and they were very bad films. It looked like they were made in like a weekend. I watched Bronson. Do you guys know what Bronson is?
I know of Charles Bronson, the man who it was based on, yeah.
Yeah, so this is a Nicholas Winding Refn, the guy who made Drive. One of his earlier movies was called Bronson, and it starred Tom Hardy as this prisoner in the UK who would spend the most time of anyone on Earth in solitary confinement. He would just beat the fuck out of, like, security guards. It's an hour-and-a-half long movie. It's very stylized and very fun. And I started playing Pikmin, because I never played Pikmin before. I started playing Pikmin on my Wii.
Yeah, I've heard that was a good game.
And it's anxiety-inducing.
Yeah,
okay, wow.
Yeah, from what I remember about it, I think I watched my brother play it, and I was like, wow, this looks so fun. And then when I played it, I was like, this is goddamn terrifying. You have, like, such a short amount of time to do shit.
I was just walking around in Pikmin, like, just doing stuff, and then, like, a third of my Pikmin fell in the water, and I was like, okay, they're gonna get out, right? And then a bunch of them fucking died. And when Pikmin died, basically it's like you control a bunch of little dudes called Pikmins who do stuff for you, and when they die, their little souls escape from the earth, and they start, like, they give a little shriek, and then they go in the afterlife. It's awful!
Jeez. Jesus.
But if we're finished with that,
yes,
we can move on to our topic at hand. So, Brandon, what games were you thinking about when you wanted to talk about difficulty in video games?
So, of course, I have been playing through the Dark Souls series, which will be a premiere feature on this podcast.
Yeah, you're doing it contentiously.
Yeah, with my teeth grit and my knuckles white, I am slogging through the Dark Souls games. No, I'm enjoying it for the most part. They've been really fun. I mean, of course, there's a lot of stuff that kind of just irks me, but for the most part, it's been really fun. And I was also thinking about touching on maybe Doom Eternal a little bit because it's my favorite game, maybe of all time, maybe.
I had a game I wanted to talk about too in the middle of this to bring up like another example of what we were playing.
Yeah, of course.
But going on to Dark Souls, Dan. What is your relationship with the Dark Souls series?
My relationship with Dark Souls. I saw my brother play the first one when it was released. Well, I had Demon Souls too, actually. He was one of the weird people that bought Demon Souls. So we had Demon Souls.
Like Jim?
Yeah, like you. And he didn't play it on a CRT, though. He played it on like an actual TV from current age. So I remember watching him play Demon Souls, and then when I tried to play, I was way too young to actually like fully understand how to play.
Well, that
properly.
game came out in like 2009, so you were 10
like
when
10
that
or
came
some
out.
shit.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So I did not do well at all, obviously, but I remember a lot of the stuff. Like I remember watching him fight man-eaters and all that shit, and thinking it looked horrendously hard.
Wait, you were
And then
1 second.
yeah,
You were 10 in 2009.
that's what happens when you're born in 1999.
Oh my god.
So when we started.
I didn't
high
know you were
school,
that young.
Brandon. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
my
guys are
lord.
dying soon, and I'm gonna live.
Old age will come up upon us, Brian.
Sneaking up on us, yeah.
I would say I knew of Demon Souls, but Dark Souls was like I was the dork that would be like people would be talking about Dark Souls, and I was like, "Did you know this is actually a sequel, a spiritual sequel to a game called Demon Souls?"
Did you know that
That's-
Road to Perdition is actually based on a manga?
That's actually the type of shit that I would say. But yeah, Dark Souls, I remember watching him play as well, but I was old enough to kind of know how to play, but I still very closely followed what he did. So my first run through was just with the Chaos Zweihander, and I
Yeah.
just like
You giant
R1'd
deaded it.
everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all
Yep,
I did.
so that's funny because that's exactly how I played Dark Souls 1 as well. Yeah, I feel like that's a very noob-friendly sort of build.
yeah, it's very.
I looked at a
easy.
lot of like I remember getting into Dark Souls before Dark Souls 2 came out in 2013 or whatever, and I watched videos and stuff, but I remember just slamming my head into the brick wall of Dark Souls because I'm a stupid gamer who's bad at games. So it took me like a year to finish it, but I love Dark Souls 1. I can rip through it in like 2 hours now. It's so fun.
Yeah, I have really fond memories of it.
Yeah, Demon Souls is really fun. And I remember when I tried to get you to play Dark Souls with me, Brandon, by your dad bought Bloodborne or something. Didn't he
Yep.
buy Bloodborne
That's
for
right.
you for Christmas?
Yeah, so when I got my PS3 or PS4, sorry, like a year and a half ago, my dad got like 6 games for like $60. Like it was $60 for the whole thing, and it was like a Horizon Zero Dawn and God of War and like Bloodborne. It was like and Spider-Man. It was insane. Like I don't know why the guy sold it for that because those games are all really good. But, yeah, and so we tried Bloodborne briefly for like what was it, like an hour or something.
Well, me and you, I was like, Brandon, it's not that hard, and you were like, okay, Jim, and then you were contentious against me. You were like, Jim, this is gonna be fucking awful. And then we were playing through. I was like, you were playing it, and I wasn't giving you spoilers, but I was giving you like tips in order to not die. And kudos to you, you got through Gascoigne in like your first or second attempt, which is really cool. You did a good job.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is me or if it's due to my build, but in Dark Souls 1, actually, I kind of got through most of the bosses as well in about 2 or 3 tries at the most. I was also playing co-op, so that probably helped a lot.
You're ripping through both the games on co-op, right?
Yeah, so Dark Souls 3, it's just like this nightmare. We're playing with like 6 different people, and we're all co-oping in each
Jesus
other's
Christ.
games and helping. Yeah, it's fun, but man, because I'm like, they're like, you have to come help us now, and I have to help like 3 different people do their thing, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
oh my
it's
god.
mental.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That to me is not the best way to experience Dark Souls when you first play through. Whenever I play whenever I play a Souls game, I always rip through it like in single player. I don't summon anyone. Then when I go through it again and a boss is like hard or I don't want to spend the time like doing it or making a build for it, I'll summon someone else, and they'll usually 9 out of 10 times the people you summon in Dark Souls 3 are running like some broken mage like magic build, and they'll kill the boss in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
You're like, thanks, man, and they leave.
Thanks, man. Yeah, and of course you're not getting that feeling of accomplishment that you're supposed to be getting when you play these games, right? And I've definitely had that a couple of times where I'm like, well, that boss died in like 5 seconds. We were doing
It's
Dark
like you
Souls
didn't
3.
even see the moveset, I feel that.
Yeah, like we were. What are those guys that are like constantly killing each other in Dark Souls 3 with the scarecrow hats?
The Watcher Knights?
The
Is that
Watcher
what they're
Knights,
called?
yeah.
No, that's from Hollow Knight. Abyssal.
The abyssal somethings. Yeah, the second stage of that boss fight, I was doing it in co-op with my friends, and we literally like the cutscene literally took longer than it took for us to beat the second stage.
The Abyss Watchers.
Like
yeah.
genuinely,
Watchers.
he ran into the corner and we all hit him like 3 times and he died instantly.
That's a really cool fight to do in single player.
Yeah.
But getting to more towards the topic.
Yes.
Talking about difficulty, I would say that me and Brandon have a friend named Ben, and Ben, when I was talking about the Soul series, he always says it's like a puzzle, right? You just do this and that, and then you win the game. And like, in essence, he's not wrong, because once you learn like the attack patterns of the boss and the mechanics and stuff like that, it's a lot easier. But I mean, that's the same thing with every game. How do you feel about the way that Dark Souls sort of makes things easier on people? Like, how do you feel about like co-op summons and stuff like that?
So personally for me, I feel like Dark Souls is very hard if you would go into it. It's impossible to do now, obviously. If you went into that game perfectly blind and didn't know anything, it would be a nightmare. Ridiculous, it would have been a very different experience. But if you go in now, like, there are very easy paths to make the game easier on yourself besides the difficulty slider. If you want the first part of the game to be just insanely easy, now you can just look it up and you just shoot the Drake's tail off and you get whatever the Drake sword is.
Drake sword,
That's right,
and
yeah.
it like trivializes the start of the game. And if you want the mid game to be easier, there are certain things you can do out of order to get more items. Yeah.
Yep.
Get the master key,
Yeah.
or whatever it's called, and just go do Quelaag really quick. The way that Miyazaki, the creator of those games, designed them was for people to have a fucking discussion about them.
Yeah.
He made them for people to post things online and talk to one another, and you can see that in the gameplay mechanics too. Like, you can write little notes on the floor for people and shit like that to point the way and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like that aspect of it, where it's kind of like the games of old, where you have to be like, oh yes, did you get that key and you can get this item, and everyone's like, whoa, no, and that's really cool. That's a cool aspect of it. In
They're
terms
like
of
playground games you talk about
yeah,
exactly.
Playground and make rumors about. Did you find Missing? No, he's beside.
Yeah, it's talking about getting
Ornstein.
Mew and Missing No when you're fucking 6
Like,
on the playground.
did you know you can beat Endless Discharge by just running to the door at the beginning of the boss
yeah,
fight?
shit like that weird stuff.
Yeah.
That's my not my favorite Souls boss. My favorite named Souls boss, Ceaseless Discharge.
Ceaseless Discharge, that's it. It's so gross, man. That's such a nasty name for a boss. But yeah, I mean, I will say that with access to all that knowledge, I felt kind of like I was cheating myself, because a lot of those encounters kind of were trivialized because of all the tips that people were giving me.
I don't think that I don't think you can be spoiled for everything in a Souls game.
No.
Right? Like, I remember when I was playing Dark Souls 1. This is a spoiler for Dark Souls 1. Skip 30 seconds ahead.
Spoiler for Dark Souls 1 from a fucking decade ago.
I got to Ash Lake by myself. I didn't have a guide. I just found Ash Lake by myself, and that was so fucking cool.
Yeah, Ash Lake is
awesome.
one of my favorite areas in that entire game by far. Like, I have very fond memories of it, and it's not a long area, but it's very fucking cool.
It's not the
Very
Molten
cool.
River full of dragon butts. That's not your favorite area.
Oh,
well-
that's the thing. You just reminded me. My brother always told me. He always said, "Dragon butts go to heaven, and dragon butts go to hell, and dragon heads go to heaven." Because in heaven, in like the painted world, all the dragon
there's
heads
dragon
are there,
head? Yeah.
and then in the hell, all the dragon butts are there.
But yeah, I think in terms of the actual just the difficulty itself, kind of agnostic from the co-op and all that community aspect, just kind of learning how to deal with the enemies, their attack patterns, parrying, dodging, and all that. I think that's very well done. It's punishing at the beginning, as it's a Souls game, of course. It's kind of famous for that, but I think for the most part, it's just it does it very well. Like, there are many games that kind of handhold you or are too hard at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going on to a game that I wanted to talk about is this week I beat Ghouls and Ghosts.
Yeah, you were saying that. Why did you do that to yourself?
So I've talked about this before, but I have like a nice CRT setup with a bunch of old consoles. And when I got the 3 consoles I wanted, I got a Super Nintendo and N64 and a PS2. And I was like, those are the consoles I want. But I had room enough for one more, so I thought about it, and I was like, oh, let me get a Sega Genesis. I've never played a Sega Genesis before. Like, I never knew one growing up, never knew somebody who had one growing up. So I got one, got nice cables for it, and the game I got with it was Ghouls and Ghosts, because I was like, oh, this is like a cool arcade game. I'll play that. And it is the most bullshit hard arcade game I've ever played in my life.
Well, many games like that were like that back then. Just because
It was just
they wanted
quarter
to
suckers. Yeah,
exactly
They
they
just
wanted to
want
eat
money.
your quarters. Yeah.
The game came out for arcades in 1988, and you get 3 lives at the start, and every time you lose 3 lives, the way I played was in practice mode, so if you lose 3 lives, you can just keep going. There's a checkpoint system. But yeah, in the arcade, you'd have to like shove a quarter in and then get to play again. And I think I went through, if I had to guess, I probably went through 70 lives trying to get through the game and get the ending.
Good God.
Because it's not a very long game. You can, if you know what you're doing, you can beat it in like 40 minutes. But there's like 5 stages, I think, with a boss at the end, and they're so bullshit hard because you die in 2 hits to everything. And some of the bosses are not really clear cut in how you beat them.
You can say
And
not
get to the end of the-
designed well. It's okay.
Well, it's designed differently, right? It's designed with a different intention in mind. It's the intention to suck money out of little kids' pockets.
Yep.
But I got to the end of the game and I was like, okay, I beat the big fly, and I got to the end of the game, and all of a sudden a story happened, and it was like, you have to go back to the beginning of the game and get the power-up, and go through it all again, and get to the final boss of the power-up, and I was like, this is fucking shit, and I did it, I got through the game, and I beat the devil, and I got a nice, like, English end of the whole thing, and it was very satisfying, and I don't think I'll ever play that game again.
Yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense. I wouldn't blame you if you never played it again, so...
I probably will play it again. I mean, I looked at the difference between the arcade port and the Genesis port. The only thing that was difference is that some of the animation wasn't as nice, and attacks weren't telegraphed very much. But the beautiful, beautiful sprite work in that game. It's a very pretty looking game, but... Yeah. How do you guys feel about arcade games like that?
I don't think they hold up. I think...
No.
If you showed that to a child now, or not even a child, like someone that was like 14 or 15, like grade 8 or 9, they would fucking absolutely hate it.
Oh,
they
God,
threw
yeah.
a brick through my CRT.
I think there's a place for them. Like, they're very cool pieces of history, but, and yeah, there can be really cool game design elements, but I don't know if I would ever sit down and play Ghosts and Goblins. I don't think I have a reason to. Ghouls and Goblins?
No.
Ghouls and Ghosts? What's
Ghouls and Goblins and Ghosts.
This one's Ghouls and Ghosts. The first one was like Goblins and Ghosts or something.
Huh.
Goblins and Ghouls, whatever the
Didn't-
fuck it was.
Didn't like a famous game designer work these days work on that game, or is it just?
Yeah, I think it was someone. You can look it up if you want. I don't remember, but I enjoy it. But when I was a kid too, my dad owned that pawn shop. I talked about it before on the show too, and I'd play like bullshit hard games all the time, especially for the Game Boy. I remember I had this game for the Game Boy that was Bomberman whatever, and had no save states, 3 lives and you're dead, and it was like you had to go through 6 worlds like that too, and I finally beat it one day and killed a dragon with a fucking bomb.
Yeah, games like that were just made differently. Like, they weren't really made to be that fun sometimes. They were just, like, sheer time spent in it. If the game was only 30 minutes long, if you knew what you were doing, it could be 100 hours long if it was just impossibly difficult.
Yeah, and I think not even just arcade games, but a lot of NES games and SNES games were designed that way, right?
Yeah.
Because like they couldn't put too much on the hard drive or sorry, the disc, I guess you'd say, and so they had to really like pack it with just difficulty so that you'd have to find ways to overcome the challenges, and that's what the time is taken up with, right?
That was one of the deciding factors too in what consoles I put in my CRT setup, is that I didn't put any 8-bit systems. Like I didn't put the Master System or the NES in my system in my setup, because they're just, so many of the games are either stupid and they don't work, or they're arcade ports and they're fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I feel that.
the good games have been ported to like the Super Nintendo, or you can like just emulate them. A lot of those games for the NES that are like Little Samson, and it's like a bullshit tired like beat 'em up side scroller, just fucking emulate it. Fuck everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Little Samson. Huh.
Little Samson.
Bart Samson's Nightmare. That's a good
So-
arcade game.
Oh, I loved all those weird fucking Simpsons games on the
Simpsons
Sega
games.
Bizarre.
Genesis. I don't ever remember having a Sega Genesis in my entire life, but in the basement of my parents' house, there's like Bart's Nightmare and then the other one, and there's like Itchy and Scratchy's Funhouse, and I was like, I don't know where we would have got these from. Like, I don't have any memories of ever having a Sega Genesis.
This is where we figure out that Dan was like the kid that they put in the walls, and then the real Dan died, and he crawled out into the fucking like middle of the living room floor.
I
They were
wore
like,
his
"Oh right."
skin.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I have a list of some of the hardest. So, what did people write down? I wrote down some of the hardest games that I've personally played, because I'm not a huge dude that looks for difficulty in games, but
No.
sometimes I'll do it.
We'll ream off some of them on the list there, Dan. Let's hear them.
Ream off some of them. I have the entire Dark Souls series, especially Dark Souls 2. That's more bullshit difficult in my opinion, but
I am a
you
stan
love Dark
for-
Souls 2.
Yeah, I am a stand for Dark Souls 2. I really like that game, but I would say that there's only one area where I cannot defend it, and that is the one in the Ice DLC.
Oh,
where
fuck that. I
you
didn't
can't.
do it.
Yeah, you can't. Okay, Brandon, let me describe to you. You've been playing Dark Souls. Let me describe to you this level. Okay.
Okay.
You get in a little boat, and the boat brings you down the hill to a new area, right? And it's
All right.
totally disconnected from the rest of the DLC. You have to go a far fucking way in a blinding white like snow out where you can't see anything, and these random unicorn enemies will spawn on top of you and do insane fucking damage to you, like nutso damage to you in one kick, right? And you have to go through that for a long ass time. You get to the boss fight in that area, and it's a boss you fought before, but they have like an aura that damages you, and there's 2 of them.
Oh my god, that's just
Classic
that's
game
just
design.
egregious. And I think there's a couple parts in Dark Souls 1 that remind me of that. Like, are kind of just like, you know that bit in the Civi videos when he has like John Romero's face kind of slowly fading in. It's like that, except with Miyazaki's face every time like some bullshit happens, and I'm just like, oh my god.
Give me a bullshit part from Dark Souls 1, because that is the worst bullshit part in all of the Souls series. That fucking snow area.
I'm just gonna say it. Bed of Chaos, probably like the biggest one.
Yeah, well, Miyazaki would say that too. It
It's
wasn't
so
finished.
funny that he apologized for that, openly apologized for that boss fight. That is fucking hilarious to me.
I mean, it's awful. It's like the worst boss fight I think I've ever done in my entire life.
I can do it now in like 2 or 3 tries usually because you can't go back to the start very easily.
No.
But yeah, didn't you say it took like 15 times or
Oh
something? For you
yeah,
to get through it the first
I think
time?
at the
That's
very
bad,
least,
yeah.
yeah. Because I mean, you know, I'm just trying to dodge his swiping attack and the holes in the ground, and then, you know, of course I finally get the second stage done, and then there's that hole in the ground. You have to jump perfectly while also dodging his swiping attack. So it's just awful. Like it. And the run from the Lost Izalith bonfire is so long too, and it's just
Yeah.
it's just awful. Like and I think another part that comes to mind is in Anor Londo, of course, the infamous part
archers.
with the archers. Oh my god! So that one actually didn't take me too many tries, but every try was just pure pain. You know, like oh man.
Yeah,
What other games did you have on the list, Dan?
on my list. Did any of you play Sekiro?
No. I played it once.
Oh, I love Sekiro is my favorite Soulsborne out of the whole Bloodborne, Dark Souls. Sekiro.
Yeah.
Sekiro is by far my favorite.
I think mine is Bloodborne. I fucking love Bloodborne so much.
Sekiro is just a rhythm game, basically. Sekiro.
Yeah.
Sekiro.
I do want to play Sekiro because I was telling my friends that I'm much more of the parrying guy in the Dark Souls games, and they're like, yeah, you
That's
should play
all
Sekiro.
you do.
All
Yeah.
that game is.
They're
it's
like, yeah,
amazing.
you should play Sekiro. Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I did a Sekiro run, and then I did a Sekiro Demon Bell run, and Demon Bell's like wearing the Calamity Ring in Dark Souls, basically.
God.
Fuck.
It just ups everything, and you have like half health, and everything does way more damage to you, because I really liked that game, which is really rare for me to do voluntarily.
I think the only time I did that was for Dark Souls 2 or Dark Souls, Dead Space 2, when I just did the really hard fuck off mode after. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, and I never did any of that stuff. Like, those survival horror games, I'll play once and be like, yeah, I think I'm done. I don't really want to go through that again.
You're an easily spooked man.
But yeah, I have Bloodborne down too, just because Bloodborne as a whole, there's a lot of really tough parts, if I remember, but the Orphan of Kos, insanely difficult. Like, he's the same. I think the end boss in Sekiro is probably harder, if I had to guess, Ishin, because Ishin was another boss. Both him and Orphan of Kos was like, I might not be able to do this. It was just tens of tries.
And then you got the satisfaction from beating them, right?
Yeah, literally.
I didn't take me too long to beat Orphan, but it took me forever to beat Abritus. I beat Abritus in about 7 or 8 tries the first time, and then you find her in the Chalice dungeon where she has 3 times the health and 4 times the damage, and it was fucking bullshit. I was trying to do a strategy and shit I found online, and I was just like, fuck it. And I got the Hunter Axe out and just Beybladed behind her while my guy distracted her like 8 times, and I finally killed her.
Yeah, it's about all you need to do.
Yeah.
Last thing that I have is Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. I beat that on the
shit.
hardest difficulty.
Those are those games that, like, I don't know, what are they called, Dan? Like Spectacle Fighters? Is that what they're called?
I know what you're talking about, like Bayonetta and stuff.
Bayonetta and Devil May Cry and stuff like that.
I love Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, and that's the only Metal Gear game I've ever played, which is like horrendous to say, if that's the only one you've ever played.
Oh, who cares?
It's
But
very
I absolutely love that game. It's so over the top and shit.
it's very different from the rest in the series. I think, you know, just
Oh,
very
God,
like
yeah.
because you know the rest are stealth games, and then you have like this ninja slicing dicing game, you know, and it's just
The first boss plays a really cool metal song, and you pick him up and you suplex him over your shoulders. And he's like the size of a skyscraper.
That was made by Platinum, wasn't it?
Yes, I believe so.
they are
It
the
feels like
premier
it would
in
be.
the action porn developers, you know.
Action poor genre.
Yeah.
So the next topic we wanted to talk about was like first-person shooters and difficulty relating to them.
Yeah, Brandon wanted to talk about Doom Eternal because he's put Did you know he put 500 plus hours
Not
into that game?
500 out. That's an over. It's 340. But so
Insane.
it's just so I back in the day when I was playing games with my dad, we would always play FPS games, right? And lots of single-player FPS games like Serious Sam and Doom, and Unreal Tournament wasn't really a single-player game, but that was definitely on the list. And just like those really tightly designed shooter experiences were always super fun for me. And man, oh man, is Doom Eternal a tightly designed first-person single-player experience? My God, I could gush for hours about that game probably, but like, I think that's another game that does difficulty really, really well. Because I believe every difficulty in the game, all the enemies have the same health. The only difference is that they get way more aggressive and way more smart as the AI goes up. And I think they do like maybe
right?
I think they maybe do a little bit more damage to you, but yeah, it's just like the accuracy and all that just goes way up, and it's fantastic, and it really yeah.
That's a good way to do difficulty sliding, because we were talking about this today and before, where Deep Rock just put in these elite enemies that I think they're pretty bullshit. I don't know what you guys think, but I think they're pretty like not a good addition to the game, where they are just like more health, more damage, more speed, and they have more resistances, so they like resist elemental damage, which is fucking bullshit.
I have that on my thing. I said what I don't like difficulty wise, and it just says difficulty levels that just up damage taken and lower damage done. And that's all
like
elite
Skyrim and shit.
Like,
they'll
like that.
It's pretty lazy.
Yeah, totally. And I think another good point that Jim was bringing up with that is that like when they just stack every single possible difficulty thing on top of each other, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, they have more health. Oh, they do more damage to you. Oh, they're more accurate. Oh, their bullets.
I would be okay with that if they didn't like fucked with the resistances. Like the fact that
resistances are bad. That can
the
ruin
fact that you
entire
can't
play
even
styles.
freeze them effectively, the fact that you can't even like hobble them, like you can't even like electrify them or anything very well, that's just utter shit. Like ghost ship games, that's bad.
Yeah, and I think I don't mind them being resistant to elemental, but like being almost completely immune to it is
you
feels
almost
bad.
can't do anything.
Exactly.
Which is it's kind of rough. Like if you're a driller, that's pretty much your entire damage source. So
yeah, you're like, well,
fucked.
I'll try and freeze them. Wait, no, I literally can't do anything. Sorry, whoops.
I'm sure I have a feeling it will get changed in the future. Like, how is
totally.
that being received? Do we know? Have you guys
Poorly,
seen
I
anything?
think. On the subreddit.
Yeah, I've been reading the
really?
subreddit and they're not liking it. Some people are like, well, it's fun, but most people are like, yeah, this sucks. I think the idea for an elite, like the elites are good. It's just that they're implemented very poorly, right? Like they could do something more interesting, like maybe they're faster, but they're like a little weaker. So like they're really fast but weak, you know what I mean? Or some are like really strong, but they don't do much damage, but they're really slow or something like that. Just mixing it up a little bit, right? Rather than just times 10 health and times 10 speed. And
let me tell a story for the viewers of something we did this week to personify this, where there's this thing in Deep Rock Galactic, where they're weekly events called deep dives, where you do like 3 missions together, and they have primary objectives that are twins. They have 2 primary objectives per mission, and this elite deep dive it's really hard, like enemies are really fast or whatever. And we were in the 2nd level, and we popped this boss, and we were like, okay, we're fighting the bosses. And then we get this big tank exploding enemy that's really hard called a bulk debt. We get that in there. We're like, okay, we can still take it. The bulk debt kills Dan and Brandon and Patrick, who he was on the show before. And I'm like, okay, so I bait the bulk debt around, bait the enemies around, and I come back. I'm like, okay, we can do it. And then we had, as I got back into the room, 2 elite slashers would do a crazy amount of damage, and
Easily
a menace that like shoots you from the
seconds.
ceiling, and I could not dodge that shit, and we died and lost the whole thing.
yeah.
That's just like, it was the whole thing of like, I like these difficult enemies. I like that we had this guy spawned, we have to go around him. And then I got killed by fucking shit. Like, bullcrap.
And we've tried that 4 times now, and we still can't get past it.
Yeah, we did the 4th time today, and it was just variations of that same event happened.
Yeah, because the second one has this thing called Elite Threat, which spawns way more elite enemies. So when you get the big swarms, in addition to fighting the bosses, they could be these like
nearly impossible.
walking.
It's so difficult.
I should say sprinting tanks, because some of them are just ridiculously fast.
Yeah.
But
getting more towards like FPS difficulty. I you know me, I've talked about on the podcast before that I like a lot of this retro FPS revival stuff. Like I like Dusk and Ion Maiden and all that stuff. And I usually play on a higher difficulty too because they embrace that like the same health, but like they do more damage to you and you take more damage.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Like, I mean, that kind of system is what I love in a shooter. You know, like I think another example. I haven't played it personally, but the Stalker game. I've heard that one just does difficulty like remarkably well because it's very much like that, where the enemy AI is super smart, but everyone's health is really low. So you just like it's just like, you know, you're just trying to survive, and but you can kill them really fast, and it just feels, you know, that feels a lot better, you know, because those split-second decisions that you have to make feel much more impactful, I think. You know?
Have you guys ever played the Metro series?
No.
Yes, yeah. I've played. I've played all of them except the newest one that was like open world-ish, I think.
Yeah, you played the first two. Those two games, I think, are some of my favorite FPS games I've ever played. They are so good, and the difficulty on them too is fucking great.
Yeah, they're crazy
awesome
good.
Games.
Yeah,
because it was 2033, and then Last Light, and then the newest one that I don't know the name of.
Yeah. I don't know the name of it.
It was like
either.
There's some reason I didn't get it. It was either like Epic. It wasn't Epic exclusive, but I think or was it?
It was for a while. It was for a year or something. And it
was
was really intensive. Like it was really CPU intensive and shit too.
Yeah, that would have been why then. I'm sure I'll get it. 'Cause if it's on Steam now, I should actually add it to my cart to watch for it.
Yeah, but those games are. I want to talk about this too. That talking about Fallout games. So Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 4. Fallout New Vegas has a hardcore difficulty setting, which is just like you can. Hardcore is like you have to sleep and eat and do certain things, and it's pretty forgiving. Because New Vegas came out in 2010, it's pretty forgiving because it was early. But it has a separate difficulty slider, so you can set it to easy and still do the hardcore stuff. But Fallout 4, I don't know if you guys didn't play as much Fallout 4 as I did because I'm a fucking Fallout idiot.
I played quite a bit.
Did you play the hardcore mode?
I did, yeah, the survival. Yep, I did. Yeah.
Okay, so the hardcore mode is like, so you take more damage, enemies take more damage. There's less health all around, right? And that's really good. Really like that. Like that's a good thing. But there's no fast travel at all. It's locked out, which I like, but a lot of people don't. And also, the only time you can save is when you sleep in a bed. And that's the one thing where as soon as I got Fallout 4 on PC, I was like, modding that shit out, and I did that.
Yeah, that's horrible. Especially because I played on the Xbox, right, the console version. I had a couple mods installed, and man, my game would crash every freaking 5 minutes, you know? So, like, you know,
Jesus.
So, like, the only way you can save is sleeping was definitely not something I think that would work, you know, and especially in a heavily modded game.
Especially, you know, you'd forget, right? You'd forget to, like, do something because you're like, oh, I'll just drink this caffeine, and you play for 45 minutes and die to... The other thing about Fallout 4 and Fallout New Vegas is Fallout New Vegas has enemy scaling a little bit, but enemies are hard based on what location they're in, so you can like avoid them.
Yep.
And Fallout 4 does the whole fucking shit Bethesda Oblivion crap where enemies are always the same level as you unless you're in the baby starter area. So you go around a corner, you don't see the sniper, and he fucking kills you in 3 seconds, and you lose 45 minutes of progress.
Yeah,
that would piss me off enough to be like, I don't really want to play anymore. As I've gotten older, that's something huge to me. Like, if a game's not valuing my time, I'm not gonna fucking play it.
Absolutely.
A lot of RPGs released with that stuff. Like, you ever heard of like Iron Man mode?
Oh yeah, this one. Yeah, you have one life.
One save.
Yeah. Very interesting to hear stories and watch people do it, but there'd be no reason why I would ever care to do anything like that.
I was gonna say it depends on the game because, like, in a long RPG, that just sounds like hell on earth. But I think. And again, I'm going to circle around to Doom Eternal because I literally cannot stop shilling for them. Please go buy Doom Eternal. There's an Ultra Nightmare mode. And I mean, granted, the game's pretty long for an FPS. It's like 25 hours, I think, completionist.
Oh, really?
Like for a single-player FPS game, that's pretty considerable. But, like, I think it's still within, like, manageable range, you know, like, in terms of doing the whole game on one life. Although I'm still not quite brave enough to go through with my Ultra Nightmare playthrough. I'm on like level 4 and I haven't played since, and I'm too scared.
The difference there too is that like Fallout spawns enemies randomly, like they have special events and stuff, and they respawn enemies. But Doom is more like a chess game where they put a bunch of pieces and players on the board, and you've played it for 300 hours, so you've gone through all the instances of enemies like over and over and over again. I'm sure you still die on the hardest difficulty.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally. Because I mean, Dark Souls, of course, they have the enemies do different things, but I think even more so in this game, the enemies spawn and their AI is just kind of like throws them all over the place, right? So you kind of have to pay attention to your movement as well as where you're shooting and all that. It's just
There's no hit scanners, correct? Everything's projectile.
Everything is projectile. Yep.
that's the thing you're gonna hate about Blood, Dan, when you play it.
Yeah, the hit scanners.
Yeah, every enemy in there is a hit scanner, and you die, and they put them around fucking corners to kill you. I don't think you're gonna beat Blood. That's my prediction.
No, I'm gonna be Blood. I started what's it called? I started Duke Nukem today, and I was kind of messing around in the first level, and I found a couple secrets. I got the RPG like immediately.
Yeah, and that's kind of one thing I miss in the new Doom games with the progression, is that the secrets can't really unlock weapons anymore because it's very, very tightly designed on how you get the weapons, like the progression of the difficulty and stuff. And so I get that because it makes the game better in the long run, but I do miss those those days when you could just get Doom 2016 actually did it, where you could get a secret weapon early,
You could get the plasma rifle really quick, right? In Doom
I got it in Doom 2016.
Yeah.
You can get all the weapons a level early, I think, yeah.
Huh. Yeah, because what is it now? Secrets are 3D models, and then in Doom Eternal, it's like a bunch of stuff, right? It's like cheats and records. And...
Yeah, cheats, records, album covers and stuff.
That's
and
very cool.
In the album covers, you can play like music from different games in the Fortress of Doom, his big Doom castle.
Yeah, those still feel like good, meaningful secrets, though.
Oh, totally,
just, like, I like Doom 2016 a ton. I think I've played it through 3 or 4 times. But
Nice.
A lot of the secrets, if you don't care to look at the 3D models, you kind of just get them to get them.
Yeah.
Just a completionist, like, check.
Pretty much,
thing.
yeah.
I wanted to talk about more along the lines of Dark Souls, just to finish this off, like games that are designed to be hard, like survival games and like Rust and shit, and like games like This War of Mine. I don't know if you guys ever played that, but I feel like when a game's really hard but fair, you get talking about like when we're talking about that Iron Man stuff, like you get that connection to it where you get a funny story or something from it. I remember when I was playing New Vegas for the first time, I did the DLC called Dead Money, and I'm sure you guys have played that one before. So you're basically put in this area, and all your weapons are taken away. And I was young, and I hadn't played games a lot. I was like 15, but I was playing that game. I was so low health and so low on ammo that I just kept dying and dying and dying and dying to enemies in this one area. And finally, I was like, okay. I stopped, and I scrounged around on the ground for like bits, and I punched this guy with a bare fist. And finally, I found a bathroom with a toilet, and I just drank enough water out of the toilet to get my health up and sprinted out of the area. Yeah, it was fun. Do you guys have a story like that where you're playing like a bullshit hard game and you have like a good way to get out of it?
Honestly, not really. I don't really play those games very much anymore. Like, I really like watching people play games where you'd have those stories, but I know that I wouldn't like them. Like, I watch people play Project Zomboid a lot on YouTube, and Project Zomboid is like a super tough isometric survival game where the game's basically like,
oh yeah, I've seen this one before. Yeah,
I think I would absolutely hate it because I think it'd be a waste of time, but I like supercuts of them on YouTube where I can watch someone's like character they had for 30 hours get overrun by the infected and stuff. But I would absolutely hate shit like that. It's the same with RimWorld and stuff like that, like all those games that are so mechanically complex. I would absolutely hate them, and I've told myself I'll like them before, and then I get them and then refund them. But it's a lot of stuff like that. I don't really have any stories though for them. I don't really play stuff like that.
That reminded me of like when Minecraft came out, like the year after or something. I used to watch like hardcore playthroughs of Minecraft that people would do, or like there was this challenge where you downloaded this Minecraft seed, and it was like you had an island of like 60 blocks, and it was all dirt. And you had to like expand out from
I remember those,
cobblestone generator and shit. Yeah,
you had to do all the same shit.
What about you, Brandon?
Nothing really comes to mind. Like, again, I think most of my funny stories come from like multiplayer games where I'm playing with a bunch of people. You know, not necessarily like games that are designed to be hard. You know, just your average,
sweaty
running away from an enemy with your ass hanging out, basically. You know, like just stuff like that.
Is there any final thoughts everyone had on difficulty of video games? I think to sum it up, we enjoy when things are a challenge. We enjoy when things are interesting and hard, but we don't like bullshit like just more health and more damage stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And leave your favorite difficult games in the comments, people. Like and subscribe. Just let us know what you guys are thinking in terms of difficult games.
For saying that bullshit, Brandon, we're throwing you out of the shack.
Oh no, please.
Cold. So. Yeah, get the fuck out of here. It was
Goodbye,
nice having
Brad.
you, but
I love you.
It's
okay.
I'm gonna throw this tin of beans at your head
I
unless you run out of here right now.
I just want to apologize for my bad mic. I'm sorry about that. Joe doesn't let me borrow the.
Follow his art station.
Joe.
Follow this man's art station.
Oh,
What's your art station,
my art station is Brandon_Chen.artstation.com. I've been posting on Instagram now, bchen.art. You can also find me as Brandon Chen on MySpace and RuneScape Skater on MSN. Thank you. So anyway, I got to get back. Joe's going to be wanting me. I got to pull up
Joe.
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan. Yeah.
You're Joe Rogan's official bun.
Yeah, so I'm the guy who cleans up all his toenail clippings because he usually likes to cut his nails on air for some reason.
During the podcast.
It's disgusting. But okay, don't tell anyone I told you guys that. Okay, though, just please.
All right, this tin of beans is gonna start sealing at your head, Brandon. You better get out of here. Right, my tin of beans sailed and missed Brandon's skull.
Tin of bean VFX sound. We're back.
How did you feel about the difficulty in video games, chat, Dan?
It was good. I thought we talked about the difficulty of video games very well.
Are we gonna have that ruffian Brandon Chen back?
Yes, I think we should have Brandon and Patrick back for a little bit of a longer episode about something bigger.
We're definitely gonna have them back for like an end of the year thing when that rolls around.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, we're gonna have. I want to do something special when we can fucking meet up again in person.
Get a big like Rode mic and stick it in the middle of us, and,
Yeah,
and
something.
they can hear all the farting and burping we do that I edit out.
That's disgusting.
All right, so it's my pick for episode 15.
Oh yeah, I guess it is because it was
Because it was you before.
Yeah.
You fuck. And I thought I would do something, a retread of something we've done before.
What is it? Tell me. Is it now? I'm watching Star Trek.
No, the unreleased episode of our prior podcast. Do you remember what it was?
Wasn't it? No, Dead Space was the release one, wasn't it? Did Django Unchained and stuff?
No. Have you forgotten about it, Dan? Have you forgotten?
Dead Space, Django, and
Afro Samurai.
oh yeah, it was.
Something that I didn't like. We're gonna talk about that because I'm gonna talk about why I didn't like
You
it.
didn't like Afro Samurai? What
No.
the fuck?
We're gonna talk about it.
Are we gonna watch the movie? Are we gonna watch Afro Samurai Resurrection?
I'll probably watch it all.
Okay,
I have
I'll watch
the
it
whole
again
thing.
because I've watched it a lot of times.
It doesn't take too long to get through it because it's just
No, it's like a movie.
It's like 2 hours of show and then 2 hours, like an hour and a half
Movie.
of film.
Yeah. Hella good fucking show, hella good fucking movie.
Well, whatever.
Okay,
Alright,
I'm down for that.
We're closing out on episode 14 of Shack Out Back. What do you want to do here, Dan, to take us out?
Christ, I don't know, Jim. I want to tell you some videos I've been watching on YouTube. I've been watching a lot of Civ 11 lately, and I know that you
Civ
told me
11's
about
fucking
him.
good as hell, yeah.
I think I was always sub to him, but I think you told me about him, so now I've just been like binge watching so much of the shit he puts out, and he's the guy that made me get Blood and Doom and stuff. I've always liked those games, but I've never actually played them myself.
What was your favorite video of his?
That I've watched so far, I really like the most recent one, the Redneck Rampage one, because it's so
That one was
long.
torturous.
It's very meaty, but I also like Ultra Wood just because of the title.
Yeah, he really gives attention to the games that need it. I really like his video on Herat. That was the newest one that made me like laugh a lot.
Maybe we'll do an episode of Herat in the future, but for now, that is it.
Herat. That is it. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Good night, darling.
Goodbye, Jill.
Bye-bye.
Good night, Dan.
Good night, everybody.
Live footage of Jim finishing Ghouls and Ghosts. Fuck this fucking congratulation. World Witch had vanished 3 years ago. Arthur has finally defeated Loki, warrior, the strongest in the world. Arthur had known at the time when he defeated the demon that the ghouls and ghosts world might be restored someday. Okay? Me prepared for the next new enemy by improving weapons and giving magic power to each weapon. If it had not been for the magic power... Oh, why is it capitalized in the middle of the sentence? Long before he reached Loki on the top of the magic power, Arthur obtained the Psycho Cannon form Valkyr. Then what the fuck? People's souls, which had been captured, were released, and the Princess of Huss was revived. The Earth has been restored to its peaceful self, thanks to Knight Arthur. However, there is no reason the ghouls and ghosts world will not be restored by someone someday. Is Arthur's battle truly over? Well, it is for me. Fuck Arthur and fuck this game.